Welcome to my channel, soulmate. For this tutorial we're going to be using a miniature. Okay, so from the shoulder of your fabric or whatever you're using, we're going to measure a bust line, shoulder to under bust, and shoulder to waist, then the length of the blouse that you're making. Okay, then from the bust, we're going to measure to the under bust to get our neckline. This is if you don't know how to take a neckline, but you can still take the amount of neckline depth that you want. So I just measured bust to under bust to get the depth of the neckline, which I measured from bust line upwards, okay, so you can take whatever measurements that you like, and I'll rule it across them. Right, this is just the basic bodice. Now from the bust point, I'm going to connect to the midpoint of the shoulder. Once you connect to the midpoint of the shoulder, that will enable us to tighten the upper part. So on this upper part, I'm going to be taking 1 cm on both sides. This is for the miniature. For a bigger person, 1 inch on both sides, or 0.75 on both sides for bigger bust is okay. So here I'm measuring 1 cm on both sides, which can equal for 1 inch or 0.75 if you're using the inch for a bigger bust. And I'll rule that like so. Connect to the bust point. So the next tightening we're going to do is the under bust. I'll take 1 inch on this part and take ½ inch on this part. Okay, this is because I'm using a miniature, so I took 1 cm and ½ cm. Bigger bust, 1 inch and ½ inch. 1 inch this way, ½ inch from the normal dart leg, not from the center line. Okay, so when you measure everything, it's going to give you more than 1.5 inch. So connect it to the length of the blouse. As you can see, the video is explanatory enough. I'm doing this so that it can become more clearer to you who is watching this video, and I appreciate your being here. Okay, so we're going to take the depth of the neckline, which is what we are supposed to be doing here. We're taking the depth of the neckline. You can take it to however depth you want. This is before the waistline, so however deep you want it. Now at the upper part, I'm going to close the dart so that the two of them can align together. Right, temporary closing to get the actual line. And I'm going to connect the two of them. Then from where I've marked, I'm going to connect to the depth of the neckline. You can use a straight line, you can use a curve, you can use your free hand to connect this line. Okay, I hope you can hear me very well. I'm having catarrh, and that's why my voice is doing me somehow. Okay, so we connected to the armhole, and you can see the way it is. Everything you see here is just what you're supposed to do, and that is what I always do when I'm making something like this. So I'm not just teaching you what I've not done before. I've done it multiple times. So we're going to open the dart line and then close our bust dart and cut out everything. So if this is your first time on this channel, please do well to subscribe to this channel. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for being here. And this is how we're going to cut it out. So here we have the yoke and the main bodice. On this part, I'm going to be cutting the main bodice with white satin, and then the upper part, the yoke, on a net. So the center line for the net is going to be closed. You can see the way I placed it is going to be closed, and we're going to add sewing allowance right around every part. We're going to add sewing allowance. Of course, you know how much sewing allowance you're supposed to add everywhere. On this part, I'm going to be adding 0.5 inch for the sewing allowance. Now, one important thing you need to note is that at this lower part, don't make it pointy. Okay, you're going to give sewing allowance of ½ inch. You can see the way it is. It's not just pointy. This will enable you to sew it very well. Then on this part, we'll keep it open. The lower part of the CF, we're going to keep it open. This makes it easier for you to sew the yoke very well and with ease. Okay, so everything I cut, I'm going to cut it double for the lining, including the net. I'll cut everything double and I'll begin by joining them the way I've placed. So the net is going to stay on top. I'll begin by joining them. You can see the way we're going to join them, one after the other. The net is doubled. So I'm going to join the net neckline first. We'll turn it before attaching it to the main dress. Now the part that stretches more should be on the side, while the part that does not stretch too much should be on the left side. So you can see that I've joined everything. I've joined it, everything, including the center line. And then the net also, I've joined the neckline. I'm going to trim this neckline, but make sure that you sewed everything right before trimming. This trimming will make it to look very seamless, especially when you use a matching thread. So anybody that sees it will love it. It's not going to look tacky. I hope I'm making sense to you here. Please subscribe to this channel if you've not done so, and if you are returning viewer who has not subscribed, please, I don't know what you're waiting for, try to subscribe. Okay, so this is what we have. Now this other part, I used hemming gum to hold the two nets together. You can sew it, but because this is a miniature, I decided to use a tiny hemming gum. You can do this on a bigger side, but make sure you're going to sew it inside so that it will not be seen. Or you just do it at the edge. Now I'm going to notch where I stopped sewing. Okay, where the neckline stopped. That's where I'm going to notch. But make sure you don't cut your thread. Just notch it very close to the thread, to the finished point, right? This will make it easier for you to sew your net very beautifully well without any issues. So I'm just going to attach this net. No, so I'm just going to attach this net. You can see the way you have to match it up, know where exactly it's supposed to be fixed where. Then use your need pin to hold them together. So I'm just going to pin them together like so, so that you see what we're actually doing. We will be coming your way more often. Please subscribe, come back for more videos, and if you have any question, we'll be glad to answer your question. If you have any suggestion, you can always make your suggestion. If you have any complaints, please come to our WhatsApp number and lay your complaints, okay? It's not be nice on the comment section. Our WhatsApp number is on the description box on this video. So I'm holding it together so that we'll be able to sew it, and at least you'll be able to see what you're doing before you start sewing, and make sure that everything match up together. Make sure everything match up together. That's the essence of using the pin to hold it together. You can see the way it is. You can see the way it is. So beautiful. So I'm going to repeat the same thing on this other side. Repeating the same thing. Now in another video, I'm going to show us another way to sew this net. Very easy. You don't have to go go through the stress of sewing it this way. So thank you for watching. Let's see. Okay, now in case you want to use your lining to turn it, this is how you're going to do it. Notch the lining as well. Now you're going to place it this way, and you can see the way I've turned it. That is how you're going to put them together and sew it round. It will not get to the shoulder. You turn the other side too and sew it round, so it will look very beautiful and cover the rough edges. Okay, you can see the way it is. That's how you're going to sew it. So thank you for watching. This is it. So lovely and beautiful. Please subscribe and come back for more interesting and simple videos. Bye.